Hello, everyone, and welcome to Firm. This is Mark Merrill reporting on a version of our journal called Immigration Provocation. What you see before you here from the Maine Policy Institute is ICE is coming to Maine in January. They've already shown up. The ICE men and the ICE women of Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Thank you for joining us, folks. We appreciate it. On this version of Firm, or this episode, we should say, the Maine Policy Institute, as you see, pretty much has the whole thing set up and ready to go. And we will tell a little bit of a story as we get further on into our episode here, as there's all kinds of audio to come. And we're going to play a long segment here on a great compilation from WVOM-Radio and the George Hale Rick Tyler show just a few days ago. But what the Maine Policy Institute has to say here, as you can see now a little bit more plainly and in front on our screen a little bit better, at that particular area there. From the halls of the U.S. Capitol Building, Washington, D.C., to the Maine State House in Augusta, and to the chambers of the Portland and Lewiston City Councils. Let's not forget, ladies and gentlemen, while we're at it, the ongoing threats to our state and country's freedoms under the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, and left-wing nut radicals, plus some Republican sticks in the mudslinging, we'll call it. But here now, though, is a quick few minutes. You can call 12 minutes quick. But it's a great series of audio segments and remarks from various people in state government, state departments, politicians, the media, and other public figures to include over the past 2 to 3 weeks. Seems longer, doesn't it? It's all about ICE. Right here. Immigration laws and general opinions. Here we go.
Talking with State Representative Rachel Henderson, Penobscot County Sheriff Troy Morton, and Brewer Police Chief Chris Martin. And the common denominator, the thread among all of them, was the need to see elected and political leaders in our state cool down the rhetoric as U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officers do what they have been assigned to do. And so in the past 24, this was one of those nights where I was up more than I was asleep, finding the comments, and I will say this, amplified by Maine newspapers and television stations over the past 24 hours. And has their comments cooled it or heated things up?
And federal law enforcement activity is occurring inside any community. Political rhetoric, both left and right, local and national, can significantly shape the public response. We're not going through a thing like Minneapolis has gone through, but there's some of it in Maine. Most people would like to see it calmed even further, but then at the same time, it's in the news every day. It's on TV every day. It's almost hard for, especially when you're getting into an election cycle, for people to be totally quiet. You wish they would say things that would not inflame, but it happens.
You could argue that Senator Angus King, unenrolled, is heating it up. His comments yesterday describing ICE actions as terrorizing, speaking with porters and reporters in Portland.
Never in my experience seen law enforcement agencies with masks on, without body cams, often without identification. And I guess the point that struck me this morning after talking to the mayor of Biddeford and thinking about this is, what is the damage being done in order to protect us from damage seems to be greater.
One thing that came to mind when Angus King said that was, well, this is not local law enforcement. This is federal law enforcement, and we know some who have been detained and arrested in our state have ties to drug cartels. That's why they wear masks. I don't know about the body cams, but I know about the masks.
Exactly.
Cumberland County Sheriff Kevin Joyce called the news conference yesterday. Yes, he is an elected leader. And you will recall that among those rounded up day one of Operation Catch of the Day was a Cumberland County Corrections recruit.
This encounter, who said that in the 3 minutes they got out, they pulled a guy from the car, handcuffed him, put him in the car, they all took off, leaving his car with the windows down, the lights on, unsecure, and unoccupied. They left it right on the side of the street. Folks, that's Bush League policing.
A thought came to mind, maybe it came to someone else's mind in hearing the sheriff describe that situation. In red states, we are seeing local law enforcement cooperate with Immigration and Customs Enforcement when they are assigned to go and find a person and detain them. And we have learned in red states that that support takes care of a situation like that. If a U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement official is called in to take care of that situation, the car might be left there, yeah. But in red states, we're seeing the cooperation from state police, county, and locals help deal with those situations. By the way, Joyce also says that his candidate that was detained was, here's the quote, squeaky clean. And during his news conference, if you heard it, he did say that, I don't know, maybe he got by the polygraph. But Kevin Joyce also termed his hiring standards as, and his protocol as, rigorous. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, can I just point out that?
Yeah.
But of course, you know and I know that one of the Cumberland County Corrections officials was found to be here unlawfully, tried to get a firearm, and was deported. How rigorous? It's just a question to be asked.
City officials also, we talk about state officials. The city officials get involved if it's in their community, and we're looking at Portland, Lewiston, South Portland. The Portland City Councilor, Wes Pelletier, described the federal action as a war of terror being waged on our city by the federal government, arguing increased ICE activity is unnecessary. That was a quote from I don't know him, Wes Pelletier.
Now, do you want to contrast that with, said yesterday, he's sounding like one of the adults in the room, Portland Mayor Mark Dion. Again, speaking. He has said, day before, look, let the ICE officers do their job. If you want to do your part, just be a witness to what you're seeing. But his emphasis has been on legality and safety, saying enforcement is lawful if there's a warrant. You can put a pin in that. We can come back to it. There's a memo that says otherwise. People should not obstruct officers, and the public should act as witnesses rather than intervening. And compare him with what Carl Shaleen in Lewiston, however, is saying, because, George, you rightly bring up what our mayor's saying.
Shaleen condemned the tactics. He raised concerns about indiscriminate arrests, warning that a disproportionate enforcement is damaging trust and community safety.
Do you have his quotes?
Yeah.
Using, quote, terror and intimidation tactics. This is Lewiston Mayor Carl Shaleen, again, heating it up or cooling it down, and again, talking about masked men.
Well, it's been an issue in Minneapolis. It's been an issue everywhere.
I think we touched on it with Angus King's comment just a moment ago. Meanwhile, Governor Janet Mills, I guess you could say her comments, although she used the term secret police, and again, these are the comments that are amplified by the newspapers and television stations over the past 24 hours. Governor Mills, you could say, is trying to cool it down a bit.
It's disruptive, and it's causing a lot of fear and unnecessary anxiety in the community and among families who don't deserve this kind of treatment.
I do have a problem with what the governor has shared. She claims to have no direct contact with the Trump administration or Immigration and Customs Enforcement. She said yesterday she's getting her information from where? Media accounts, news accounts. So when she says they're disrupting families and they're hurting schools, where is she getting her information?
Well, I have no idea, to be honest with you.
You can say what she said.
She's probably not getting much out of the Trump administration.
As I just said a moment ago, she says, her words, she's not in direct contact with them, nor is she in direct contact with ICE. She said she's getting her information from media reports. Can we talk about Graham Plattner for a moment? Because
I don't have much on him.
he released a statement, quote, ICE murdered an American citizen 2 weeks ago. Now they have come into our state to drag Mainers out of their homes and kidnap them off our streets based on nothing but racism and lies. It is absolutely disgusting. I could read on.
No,
I
he's
do not believe that
disgusting.
Graham
How about
Plattner
that?
is cooling it down.
No.
Sidebar, Your Honor. If I were working for the Graham Plattner campaign, the political ad against Janet Mills was written yesterday when she spent day one of Operation Catch of the Day. Again, this comment this clarification did not come from the Mills administration. It came from her campaign. Yes, she was at a campaign event in San Francisco. And you can imagine the Plattner campaign is ready to say, on day one, when masked ICE agents came to, what were his words?
Not even in the state of Maine, folks.
Where did Janet Mills go?
She was in San Francisco.
That's cowardice. That's not the campaign ad. It very well could be. Katrina Smith is a Republican state representative. They had already produced what is the Republican address for the week, and they released it early.
Let me be very clear. ICE agents are federal law enforcement officers. They take an oath. They operate under federal authority, and they show up to work knowing that rhetoric alone can make them a target. You can oppose immigration policy without turning the people enforcing the law into enemies.
I consider her comments over the past 24 to be something to try to cool it down, George.
Mills has publicly, I think she's going from a different perspective, I guess, in her legal background. She was talking about clear arrest warrants, reminding people that if a police officer wants to come into your home, you have to have a warrant signed by a judge. And there have been some reports that this is going on. I don't know if they're accurate or not.
Well, the DOJ memo that came out that said you do not need it in this situation, that comes from Washington.
That's not local, right?
Well, it would cover a federal ICE agent who's working in Maine. I'm glad you mentioned you need a warrant to get in. One more clip of audio I want to play for you, and it's not from an elected leader, but it's from a civil servant. This was recorded in South Portland in front of West End Apartments. The sound you're going to hear is that of a United States Postal Service worker who's stopping what he is doing because there are U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents seeking access to effect an arrest of someone within West End Apartments. I have done my best to sanitize this sound. Here's what transpired.
Don't let them in. They need a warrant. Nazis. Do not let them in the building. They need a warrant.
In a moment, you're going to hear a car come by with a horn to disrupt and alert anyone inside the building as to what's going on. I do edit this for time because that goes on for some time. In a moment, you'll hear another individual join the postal worker.
Not letting you guys in? Oh, that sucks. Good. Nobody wants you here. Immigrants built this country.
Legal ones, but
Show your faces, Nazis. How much you guys get paid for this? Racist. What's your salary? How long did it take you to get here from New York? Tell me you're racist without telling me you're racist. Fucking shameful. How do you sleep at night, you mother... Yeah, that's right, leave. We don't want you here. Messing with me is a federal offense, mother... I work for the government, too. Only I actually care about people. Follow them. Get right on their ass.
and at the end you hear him encouraging people who are there and blasting their horns to disrupt the activities, to, again, roll up behind and tailgate the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents who were trying to effect an arrest of someone that is on their list of 1,400 people, perhaps here in the state of Maine, in Operation Catch of the Day, Day 2.
And that's it, folks, as far as the tip of the iceberg here in the state of Maine. It's not a pretty sight, and it's not a pretty sound either, as you just heard. Thank you for all that information, and it was a segment presented by GHRT, George Hale Rick Tyler Show, on WVOM-Radio here in central and a little bit of southern Maine, in southern Kennebec County, the Augusta area as well as Waterville, but coming directly out of their studios in the Bangor area. Now, Maine will not be the only state that deals with stepped-up enforcement from federal government. So the Maine Wire has posted that they will be talking about their impression of what's happening. And also, Maine Wire, and of course, Steve Robinson, the editor-in-chief, started to get fundraising numbers for politicians running to be Maine's next governor. You can certainly check them out. We'll put the link for the Maine Wire up there and their website. And they also briefly get into recent geopolitical stories, including the arrest of Nicolas Maduro. But finally, there's one that we will follow up on as well, folks. We weren't aware of it that much, making a passing mention of new research on the energy market in Maine and the rest of New England. And having more upcoming podcasts on learning in that research project. They'll also be found on there on the Maine Wire. If you were to sum things up, there's a reason for your energy bill. It's so expensive, and it's Augusta's fault. So that pretty much takes care of that part. As for the continuing saga of immigration and ICE in Maine, doesn't seem to be getting any better for ICE agents up here, now does it? As you saw a picture just a few minutes ago of Shelley Pingree along with Janet Mills, I think we can get that right back here for you. As they were attending, this was a few months ago actually, folks. It's kind of odd, but they were in attendance at a press conference of some type. And it was back in, let's see, I think it said November 22nd. But reissued. And by the Maine Morning Star. You may see here now. We just had that one up a few minutes ago there for you, but just so you'll know what we're talking about as we read from it. So, and also Yahoo News was the original source of this. I just can't get over that these people actually do news that matters to the American public. But back on November 24th, to be exact, Ms. Pingree and Governor Mills participated in a roundtable. Both Democrats, of course, are they? Were demanding the Trump administration provide a detailed accounting of immigration arrests in Maine. But after Mills called for arrest numbers, warrants, and basic information about who is being detained during a Portland City Hall press conference, Pingree followed suit with an open letter to the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem. Referring to human beings as something to be caught in a net reflects a disturbing disregard for human dignity, she said, meaning Ms. Pingree, and reinforces the perception that this operation was designed to intimidate and degrade rather than to uphold the law of responsibility. Oh, give me a break, Pingree. Go away. That's garbage, and she knows it. And on one other note, folks, just to wrap up this Firm Journal episode on immigration provocation, the editor-in-chief, Steve Robinson, on his Robinson Report fairly recently, was talking about one particular person that he talked to. We're going to read a little excerpt from it. We wish we had some audio on it. But Steve caught up with ICE Deputy Assistant Director Patricia Hyde after a ride-along with ICE field agents in southern Maine. Now, this is posted January 23rd, not that long ago. So the Democrat candidates for statewide office are competing to see who can take the most extreme position against federal immigration authorities. But according to Steve Robinson on the Main Wire in his Robinson report, officials from ICE said on the 23rd that the inflammatory claims simply aren't true. They've taken people who are there legally. They've taken people with no criminal records. Have taken a local police officer. Democratic Senate candidate Graham Plattner said on X. Now, ICE Deputy Assistant Director Patricia Hyde, as we talked about here, the one that Steve Robinson's talking to, she's the top-ranking ICE official overseeing Operation Catch of the Day in Maine. She said the criticisms are either false or rooted in ignorance of how law enforcement conducts operations. And in an exclusive interview, Robinson Report asked her to respond to some of the more vital or common criticisms that have been made against her agency and conduct of ICE officers. Hyde said in a brief statement that we at least have here, before the rest of it you can find on the Main Wire or the Robinson Report on their site. Ms. Hyde said the ICE's activities are targeted toward illegal aliens who are known to have committed crimes. Let's read that again, shall we, ladies and gentlemen? Especially for everybody out there who is law-abiding American citizens, Maine citizens. Ms. Hyde, who is the Deputy Assistant Director of ICE Operations, overseeing Operation Catch of the Day in Maine. She said, ICE activities are targeted toward illegal aliens who are known to have committed crimes, either in the United States or in their home countries, but that other illegal aliens who do not have criminal records or warrants out for their arrests are sometimes encountered incidentally to a targeted enforcement action. For more information, folks, you can certainly check with Steve Robinson, the Main Wire, and stay abreast of what's going on there. Meantime, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us here on Farm. We stay on top of it as well. Fairness in Reporting Media, truth, facts, reality, and common sense. All the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And contact us right there at fairnessinreportingmedia@gmail.com, fairnessinreportingmedia@gmail.com, as well as our podcast where you can give us comments, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also commentary and follow up on x.com. Everybody out there, stay safe, stay warm and safe. Peace to all.